Welcome back, welcome back. It's time for game number 2 between mousesports MaNa and SlayerS TaeJa. Now, one thing to note, TaeJa, who's in the bottom left as the blue Terran, is up 1-0 in this series, but is down 0-1 in his group after losing to IM MVP 1-2, which, I'm not going to lie, Husky, that almost feels like an achievement.
Yeah. Oh, God, we were talking about this before the game, Sean. I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold this together when you announce who MaNa was able, who he went against last time.
Well, MaNa is 1-0 in his group, taking down Complexity's Stake 2-0. And, I mean, we were laughing because there comes this point where, you know, when you look at the standings, you'll be like, oh, yeah, MaNa, who's, you know, performing so well, and Stake, you know, who's a solid player in his own right. But if you're able to take a game off IM MVP, you're gonna get my respect pretty big. Like, very, very impressive feat there by TaeJa, and we're really getting a chance to see why in this series. It's on Tal'Darim Altar. MaNa has to win 2 games to advance and win 2-1. TaeJa only has to win 1 more.
Yeah, Sean, and we were watching, I mean, obviously in that last game, if you guys didn't see it, go check it out, because it's about to be spoiled all over you in just a second. But we did see a lot of drop play in that game. And on Tal'Darim Altar, would you say that drops are extremely effective or not as good like we saw in the last game?
They're dangerous. They're obviously going to be just a good tool to use, but a lot of people just do drops because they feel like, well, drops are great, I'm just going to do that. But on a map like Tal'Darim Altar, where there's huge open spaces like this center area that we're sweeping through, these open spaces mean that you almost have to force your medevacs to have safe paths. You have to have tons of huge armies moving through the middle, securing lanes for your medevacs to move along. And in that regard, it's difficult to do drops. Sure, you can skirt along the far edges, but it makes them so slow. And if you are doing drops, because it's almost impossible to retreat back home, especially in these cross-map spots, man, you really have to have a lot of good safety measures when you start dropping.
Another thing to mention about this map, which we see it utilized a lot anytime there is a Terran player. Oh, there's a fast expansion, by the way, for our Terran player on the bottom left side, is also, of course, the geyser outside the natural, which this is something that a lot of people are very uncomfortable with going against a Terran player. They can be easily bombarded by siege tanks. Colossus also have the range to do that as well. It's just the siege tank range is extremely frustrating. So we a lot of times you'll see Terran players opt to go for siege tanks, but Sean, I mean, he had so much success with Marine Marauder and just the micro that I would not be surprised to see the exact same thing in this game.
Yeah, we do see a very fast bunker going down. I mean, the Marine Marauder control from TaeJa was just so stunning, but I love tank openings on this map just because of that gas that you were mentioning. In the later stages, after the tank early attack is failing, I love Marine Marauder as well, but man, it looks like TaeJa not going to be going for any tank. How disappointing for me. Meanwhile, in Camp MaNa, we see him going for the early 2 gas, getting himself a fast sentry, and going to be going for a 1-gate expand. I, again, would expect him to follow this up with more gateway units, but fast 3 base on this map I still love quite a bit as the PTOS pieces.
Now, if you're wondering why the Terran player is able to get out his expansion so much earlier, it's simply because, well, you can just expand off of it off of the 1 barracks. Unfortunately, for Protoss players in this situation, you do have to get the Cybernetics core. So it's going to delay it just a little bit, which is completely standard. Every Protoss is used to this. But if you're just looking at it as why is the Terran player's base slightly faster, that's exactly why, because he's literally relying on just Marines rather than any sort of tech or anything like that. Stalker trying to poke in here, doing a little bit of damage and booking it out of there before taking any amount of armor damage. I mean, that's just going to soften the defenses a tiny bit, and he's seeing that, well, there's no Marauders here, so I know what that means.
We see 3 gateways starting now for mousesports MaNa. TaeJa just planting down a tech lab on one of the barracks in the main there. That bunker correctly getting rallied on the outside, so like you said, he can easily repel any of that early harassment. And at this point, I'm most interested with what TaeJa is going to do with his first 100 gas. Will he be getting a fast stim? Will he be getting a fast factory? Or will he be doing something that I've seen Gonzi do before, get a very fast upgrade? And it looks like, well, first, TaeJa is just going to get a complete and total grand tour, the celebrity tour of MaNa's base. Scouting through here, we're at 6 minutes and 30 seconds, and this is the key point in time where there's a lot of deviations in the Protoss arsenal, and it looks like TaeJa is getting a chance to check out everything that's going on. I believe, yep, he has seen every vital tech structure, so congrats to you, TaeJa.
Yeah, the sentries, I swear, are not the best unit for killing scouting workers. That is exactly why I was able to see everything. And unfortunately for MaNa, that's something that you do not... I mean, you never want to reveal what you're doing, but especially when you're at this far apart of spawns. I mean, this is giving the Terran player hours and hours in StarCraft time to prepare for exactly what's headed his way. Right now, not Tosh, it's MaNa. His name in game is Tosh. So it does have the watchtower on the right side. Always crucial to grab those on this map, and he will be able to see, it looks like, this group of Marines and only one lonely Marauder in there, and may end up losing the stock if he's not careful.
Wow, that is uncharacteristic lack of focus from MaNa. He is always watchful on that minimap. A little surprised to see him making that blunder. We see that indeed with the first 100 gas, we see TaeJa going directly for a fast starport. With the next 100, he's going to invest in that stim. Hasn't gotten concussive or combat shield quite yet. Just wants to move out and secure himself those watchtowers, and it looks like MaNa might indeed be going for that early third, but again, there's that reliance on the early Colossus. Robotics Bay now finishing up Colossus with range, going to get started. There's the Colossus going down. And we see TaeJa doing a good job scouting that south end for any sort of pylon.
Yeah, and Sean, it is really important to kind of focus on the Colossus for just a second, because I think that since he's at such far spawn locations, does he really need to be getting the Colossus at this quickly before his third base? Do you think that that is something that is not a good idea, given not only the map, the matchup, but also just their spawn locations?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of justifications, I think, for why it's okay to sneak away without getting a Colossus. And honestly, like, the one that always hurts me the most is the resource one. As we can see, MaNa, who's investing in this Colossus, he hasn't even gotten range yet, and he has, more importantly, not been building almost a single gateway unit in this entire time. And that is what really, really concerns me. You really need to make use of the buildings that you invest in. So no reason not to just focus on the gateway units and try to get an expand earlier. This is the logic of the more modern Protoss. And we see that TaeJa is scanning, picking off a single observer, clearing out his third base, and getting ready to do some drops.
Yeah, he is indeed preparing for the third base. The command center already begun being constructed inside the main base, so the timing of this should be earlier, although earlier than his opponent, although it does look like MaNa has his Nexus going down just right there. Cancels it for a second. Must have been misplaced there. But again, he does not have that many units right now. So once his opponent moves out across the center of the map, he's going to want to be able to spot that. But you can see right now, Sean, he doesn't have a single watchtower. We talk about how crucial those are. But right now he has no map vision. So essentially he's going to be playing blind. There's going to be an army knocking at his door. And that's not a good spot for anyone to be in.
TaeJa moving around with the factory, trying to get good vision control, and it looks like TaeJa has this as his opening attack move. He's moving with 2 medevacs along the right and 2 medevacs along the top. He's clearing this out, making it safe just by having that vision advantage. And it looks like MaNa is more than prepared. Going to easily repel the medevac that is trying to hound that right side of the map. And there's the medevac again pushing into the natural, but up in the Northlands, it's a different story.
Yeah, really nice split for MaNa in 2 locations, but he does have 3 bases now, which means he needs static defenses or something, at least to hold this off for a second. He doesn't have either of those things, though. May force the cancel on the Nexus. A couple of these units are, for some reason, not attacking the actual Nexus, and these units are not going to be here in time.
He loses the Nexus and doesn't cancel it, MaNa, making an enormous misstep there. We see no range done for the Colossus either. Plus upgrades going down for armor and attack. We also see the Zealot with charge upgrade, that essential upgrade going down. And look at what's going down in TaeJa's base, getting plenty of barracks, even getting 2-1 upgrades at the back. I mean, TaeJa is in a great spot right now.
MaNa going to try and get down that Nexus. The only thing really that's gone right for this MaNa in this game was he was able to hold off those 2 drops fairly well, at least in his main base, and I think he even killed one of the medevacs there. But, I mean, losing the Nexus without being able to cancel it is not a good spot for him to be in. He is now transitioning into the Templar Archives once again, and does have the double forge. It seems to be, Sean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the double forge seems a little late, and also a drop in the main.
Well, it looks like Double Forge is going to be very late. 1 falls, and he's target firing the second one, and now it falls. So this means that MaNa is not going to have an upgrade lead as he so desperately needs. That would have been the one big advantage for MaNa going into the mid game, but now it looks like it's going to be the Terran who's going to have the huge lead. Already finished with 1-1, getting 2-1. The third base is up for TaeJa. TaeJa just in complete and total control, loses one of those medevacs. We see 2 more forges getting constructed by MaNa. We also see the Templar Archives starting Storm.
The third base for Sella, or not Sella, but TaeJa, excuse me, is going to be transferring over those workers. They have just arrived. You can see most of those mineral patches are fairly fresh, but I mean, he does have that third base, while MaNa simply does not have his up and running yet. Just going to be transferring his own workers over right now. It is 59 probes to 67 SCVs, so a nice little advantage there for our Terran player. And with all the drops he's done, I feel like, unfortunately, for MaNa, he's not going to be able to move out and do a lot of damage just because I think he's feeling a little exposed considering that the drops have already done so much damage. There's going to be one at the natural and unfortunately able to kill a couple of workers there. So MaNa does have his army split up, which is good, but he's just taking a lot of damage. Oh, attacks his own Colossus and actually does some structural damage to it.
Well, sometimes you need to punish your Colossus for not having range. He did manage to successfully kill off one of the medevacs, though, but oh my goodness, look at this, Husky. We see a big army moving through the center of the map. Plenty of Vikings on there. Look at that, 9 Vikings right now. The third base has a 4th base getting constructed next to it. We see 7 barracks in the main and a Ghost Academy. And the level 2 attack is done now. I mean, TaeJa is just looking absolutely marvelous.
I really think the only thing that MaNa could hope for is this army sitting in perfect size storms for the entire duration. But the problem is that even if he somehow was able to hold that off, that by the time he is able to march his own army down to the bottom left side, it is going to be easily defended, as there is lots of expanding going on by our Terran player, throwing down 3 command centers simultaneously, 4 ghosts on the way as well. And he is just playing crazy. His supplies are a little bit behind, but I mean, literally, he just spent a lot of money on expansions.
This is, I think, brilliant by the Terran player. I don't even think there's anything wrong with throwing down 2 to 3 more command centers, sacrificing some SCVs, and going on the mule-heavy front. We see that he has the lead in upgrades. He has the lead in terms of unit-producing structures. And oh my god, there it goes. 4 command centers along the south lip, getting a big muling advantage once those finish. That is going to be awesome. That is going to be just great news for TaeJa. And we see now there's the upgrades finally getting restarted for Mousesport's MaNa. And, you know, I think that this is a smart way to play off the late game as a Terran player. So often you'd see Terran players just stick with Marine, Medevac, Viking, Marauder, and there you go. And that's all that they would do. And Protosses would slowly pull ahead with their overall stronger unit mixes. What we're going to see Terran do is get so many mules and so many orbital commands up that he can get insane numbers of barracks production and whittle his opponent down with these bigger, more inefficient armies.
I think this is the only time in all my years of StarCraft that I've seen 7 command centers being produced at the same time. And a lot of people made fun of this when I was playing with Spanishiwa and he did this, but it is actually pretty darn good, especially if you can hang on. Then you can land 1 command center in a base, mine it out with just a couple of waves of mules, and then you have so much money you don't even know what to spend it on. And considering his upgrades are so powerful, this is why he's able to get away with this. Now, this does buy MaNa a lot of time to get maxed out. You can see that he is, in fact, maxed out right now, but does he really have the units that he wants? Does he have the upgrades he wants? I mean, the answer to these questions are, I would say no. Did he ever get that upgrade for his Colossus? Still no thermal lance, Sean. I have a feeling he thinks he has it, but he does not.
Yeah, and I mean, even if he did end up investing in it, I mean, think about how much more damage those drops would have done. I mean, that 200 that you're spending in minerals and gas is a big drain on your ability to get other units up early on. And we see MaNa doing a very smart play, ringing the map with all sorts of pylons at this point in time. So this is going to be a very good way for him to have a solid warp in throughout the game.
Now, I did see about 4,000 minerals per minute there for our Terran player. A nice scan going to show exactly what the Protoss army consists of. And it looks like this may be one of the biggest battles in the game so far, as both players are positioning themselves, readying their troops to try to engage this correctly. But there are so many upgrades for the Terran right now, although the Protoss able to squeeze out 2-2 as well, Sean, as he has been chrono boosting like crazy on that. 3 more command centers on the way, I'd just like to say.
And there's some great storms, and he's feedbacking all the ghosts. Wow! That actually went a little bit better for MaNa than I even think MaNa expected. We see more Templar trying to get to the front, getting another nice storm. All those Vikings are in yellow and orange health. Very solid play by the Protoss player, but again, looking over at that unit counting station, we see that there are mules all over the map. I mean, with this many orbital commands, what else are you going to do, Husky? Sure, you can even spend some scans if you need to. There's just options available for the Terran right now, and we see Ghosts getting produced aplenty.
This is one of the most awkward games I think I've ever seen. Both players at 3,000 or 4,000 resources apiece. And I was looking at the hotkeys for our Terran player. He has 14 orbital commands, now 15 orbital commands on one hotkey, showing you I've never seen this before. But MaNa does have his 3-3 on the way. So do you think it's smart for him to try and hang on here till those upgrades are done? Or does he need to lock down some of these expansions?
Yeah, I definitely think there needs to be a little bit more Expo lockdown, but the 3-3 is going to be huge for him in this engagement. Looks like it's not quite done yet, but gosh, I mean, MaNa needs that range upgrade for that Colossus. I mean, if he discovers that and begins getting himself the range upgrade and more Colossus, he'll be in amazing position. And there it looks like he is going to see that he has no range there. There's a huge number of EMPs. Oh my god, 10 EMPs planted on the same location. And there are the Vikings ripping apart all the Colossus. The Colossus are down. Zealots getting torn up as well. More Templar en route. Some nice force fields, but no units there to utilize them.
Even the Vikings landing to take out some Stalkers, definitely something you do not see very often. Now, we're going to have to keep an eye on the production tab. 3 Colossus being simultaneously produced for our Protoss. The +3/3 is nearly completed, so he's trying to hang on as long as possible. The Terran player is all the way across the map, so we'll see if MaNa has enough time to re-max off of this, as he is expanding on the top left side as well. But, I mean, Sean, this is so many orbital commands. It's completely ridiculous, and the Terran player is throwing down four tech labs in the center over by that expansion, and we'll be able to produce a lot of units at once. Probably one of the heaviest macro games I've ever seen.
Yeah, we see a lot of mules doing the ring around the rosy play at that nth base. What is it, the 9th base from the Terran player? I mean, I don't know what you call it with all those extra orbital commands. We see the 2 Zealots working their way down on those missile turrets. A nice way to waste that energy, but keep in mind, it's not resources for the Terran losing. It's just energy, so it's time that's being lost by Terran, so it's not the hugest problem for him. And now finally, upon taking out these Zealots, almost, he gets one. Looks like that second Zealot is going to fall down now, but the real problem for Protoss is that there's a big, big army of Marauders, Marines, Vikings, and there's the Stim.
Yeah, here he comes in right now, and the Protoss, again, is maxed out. I just feel like the amount of high-tech units he has is not what he wants. He does have 9 High Templar now, 6 Colossus. It's just, I feel like his workers are really blocking him on what he can do with this. So a lot of this is going to come down to EMPs. Can he get good EMPs, or are the Storms going to be better?
Well, it looks like he gets some good EMPs off. There is now a lot of Colossus doing damage with that short 6 range. Nice storms by MaNa. MaNa looks like he might be successfully pushing this back, but no. The Colossus evaporate in seconds, and now there is a huge force of Marauders swinging up into the natural expansion. 3 more Colossus getting produced, and again, MaNa does not realize that he has no range upgrade down. That is just going to be a devastating way to lose if it comes to that. More orbital commands down for TaeJa. And look at this south expansion. It has, well, there's 14 mules on the screen right now.
Oh, absolutely out of control. This map is going to get mined out, but apparently they were lagging there just a little bit, or the problems with the mouse. But regardless, at this point, it seems like MaNa is just going to have a difficult time in dealing with this Terran army. I mean, both players have been able to get maxed out well and easily, but it's just without the range. I feel like he's kind of he's gimped going into these battles. He has a couple of High Templar, but his Colossus just are not doing any amount of DPS really, as they are spending the majority of their time trying to get in range.
Yeah, I mean, the Colossus would be such a great play at this late stage of the game. We've seen Kiwikaki do that so often, but I cannot tell you how many times I keep coming back to this poor Robotics Bay with Thermal Lance still there, waiting to be purchased. And now we even see, oh my gosh, look at the Planetary Fortress that's at the top base. Probes being transferred, getting taken out by it. And we even see it looks like MaNa doing a little bit of micro in his spare time, trying to pick off this command center. And once again, TaeJa just has so many mules, was up at 20 mules, just having ridiculous production and ridiculous income. Should definitely begin sacking SCVs to free up more food.
And this is so interesting because both players have been equally maxed out several times, but with the additional probes as well as no thermal lance, it's been really bad. Here come the Ghosts up here, storming on the Ghost, but Ghosts have a surprising amount of HP, able to EMP a lot of those units, and now I believe there's no useful High Templar on the field right now.
And now the Colossus trying to make their way forward again with almost no range. This is going to be so difficult for the Protoss to really do anything at all. The Vikings rip everything apart. The Zealot numbers surprisingly high, though. Marauders still number in 16, 15 Marauders there, and it looks like TaeJa is able to break through yet again.
Yeah, not a good situation. I'm just kind of watching that Protoss army melt away, and I think a lot of it comes down to takes out the pylon with the warping in reinforcements. Some late storms will hold this off for just a little bit. However, the supplies are 182 to 125. MaNa is going to have a second to regroup his forces, use as much money as he can, but he really does not have that much money anymore as compared to his opponent, who has basically every expansion on the map, at least the amount of orbitals. There's random orbitals in the center of the map. This is the most orbitals I've ever seen. And that's just why he's able to re-macro 5 Ghosts at a time, 4 Vikings, and a lot of Marauders on the way as well.
God, that top expansion getting flooded with mules as now finally the Terran realize there's an Expo at the top left, one of the only remaining expansions for MaNa. MaNa having a lot of speed Zealots there, but the number of Marauders seems to be unending for TaeJa. TaeJa now just sprinting forward. I mean, the Zealots can hardly get in range in time. Templar and Zealots trying to swing back around, get some reinforcements, but an EMP goes off, hitting almost all of the Templar. Great play there by TaeJa at the top left, in a lot of trouble, and right now MaNa is slowly running out of options.
He is completely out of options. He is warping in a lot of Archons right there to try and hold this off. He's attempting to sandwich this army, but look at this nice medevac loading there. Is going to back out and get away. And, I mean, MaNa thinks that he has this army trapped, but that is not the case. The medevac's safely evacuating on the left side, and he will attempt to take out this planetary. He will, and all the mules along with it. But, I mean, our Terran player has 7,000 resources, Sean, and he is maxed out. So I believe that MaNa may be able to max out one more time, but unless he's able to do just a sweep through and kill all those buildings, I can't imagine him being able to out-macro someone who has 8,000 resources.
Yeah, he's going to have the most perfect storms known to man, and more importantly, he's going to have range for his Colossus Husky. Ugh, what a brutal way to lose. I mean, we even saw in other games, forgetting key upgrades is a very, very quick path to a harsh loss, and now we see SlayerS TaeJa moving through the middle of the map. Mousesports MaNa does have a lot of Archons, does have a lot of Zealots there, and there's some big EMPs go down. The Archons evaporate almost immediately. Huge damage being dealt by that Viking Marauder mix. I mean, the amount of EMPs going down is just incredible. Level 2 attack on the air getting upgraded for Terran 2.
Yeah, now it's 166 supply to 116, and unfortunately the army size of MaNa right now consists of 6 Stalkers, which no matter how good your Blink Micro is, it is difficult to take out that many Terran units. Not saying that he can't do it here, Sean, but I feel like he's lost his only mining basis. He's trying to get more up and running, but he has not had any substantial income here for the last several minutes, and our Terran player has been very patient, and he's also had really good control. He's never allowed his units to get completely out of position, and has just been able to slowly whittle the Protoss down. I feel like he's been comfortable this whole game and did not want to throw away his lead at any turn.
North base getting taken down by TaeJa. We see MaNa trying to recollect his units together, and while MaNa is doing his best to scrap some kind of expansion up, we see Terran making, it looks like more orbital commands than makes any sense in the center of the map. Getting so many. I mean, at this point, he has 10,000 minerals. If this were an Xbox game, he would absolutely be getting an achievement for that. I mean, this is a very painful, painful game for MaNa because TaeJa's doing the smart play, winning in a very, very long-term game. And
yeah, I think a lot of people in this game, Sean, will look at it and be like, oh my god, MaNa, just leave already. But I really got to hand it to our Terran player for not just trying to end it. I mean, he's definitely playing it safe. Here comes one final battle. I don't know that I could really call it epic because it is going to be extremely one-sided. The storm's not bad. It does force the Terran back a little bit, and more reinforcements are warping in, more Zealots. But that is so many Marauders. I believe every unit in that army right now is a Marauder. And that is just pretty darn good against the amount of those units. And wow, there's a GG well played from MaNa there. And I gotta agree with him in that one. It was extremely well played by our Terran player. 16 command centers on the production tab here at the very end. So I don't know that I will ever see that topped. But definitely safe play from our Terran player. It was a long, drawn-out game, but I think Terran players can learn a lot from that.
Yeah, I mean, using the orbital commands in the late game to get that little leg up, we see, though, that there were still 61 SCVs available for TaeJa, and if he had begun sacking all of his SCVs, he could have freed up so much more food. I mean, that's 30 Marauders additional that he could have had, nearly doubling his Marauder count. Regardless, I mean, it's hard to criticize TaeJa after a series like that. Played so well, so that will put TaeJa at 1-1 in his group, and MaNa at 1-1 in the same group.
And I just took a look here at the very end of the replay because I was curious. MaNa never really caught a glimpse of any of those additional command centers. He only saw the expansion on the bottom right side for this entire game. So, I mean, that may have played a really big role in the fact that he didn't know that he was getting outmined that heavily. So he may have thought he was in a much better spot than he was. I mean, at some point, he basically had his half of the map on lockdown and may have been a little bit confused as to where all of these units were coming from. So, I don't know, it's kind of interesting that he didn't see any of those, but that is all I have to say about this series, and I am looking forward to casting more because I don't know about you, Sean. Actually, I do know about you, but we never get sick of StarCraft.
That is true. For more replays and VODs of us casting, go to gforce.com or go to our respective locales, youtube.com/HuskyStarcraft or day9.tv. With that, we're signing out off to cast more games. See you in a bit.